Okay, getting lost in the form. It's probably not happening because of what you're playing. It's probably happening because of what you're thinking. So let's fix that in this video, and if you stay till the very end, I'll show you how to play cool ideas for your solos too. So first, let's talk about what the problem is. What's probably happening that's making you get lost in the form when you go to play solos, when you go to play trading 4's, whether it's at a jam session, you're playing with some people. Well, the first thing could be because you just don't know the song. And if you just don't know the song, well, boop, you lose. Go learn more songs. That's a different video. But usually, if you do know the song and you're still getting lost, the reason is because we're thinking too hard. We're thinking about way too many things. We're thinking about, what are we playing? What's this sticking? Is this idea cool enough? Like, is this in time? What was that thing I played? Oh, trying to remember all this stuff. It's just way too much overthinking. Okay, and then on top of that, if we're playing with people, usually we're thinking of like, what are they gonna think of me? Is this cool? Like, are they gonna want to play with me some more? Which all that stuff, all that thinking and overanalyzing is the exact opposite of the mindset that we want to be in when we're actually playing solos and trading 4's and stuff like that. And on top of that, it's just like, it's really focused on yourself. It's a little overly focused on yourself. So we have to find something to think about that doesn't put the spotlight completely on us so that we can just relax, that we can be in the moment and just play. So we need to get to a point where when we're on the bandstand, we're just on autopilot. We're completely relaxed, we're in the moment, everything that we're hearing in our head is just coming out of our hands. And this is why a lot of drummers who, like, when they're at home and they're practicing and they've been practicing for a couple hours and they're trading 4's with themselves, everything just flows super, super well because they are in that state. They are just in the moment. But then when they go to play with other people, suddenly all this focus starts to go on, what am I playing? Who am I playing with? All this stuff that can be really, really distracting. So we got to figure out a way to just relax and be in the moment. But saying don't focus on your stickings, or don't think about anything, or don't think about what you're going to play, or don't count is just like saying don't think of a white elephant. Like, what are you going to instantly think of? A white elephant, right? Like think about it. Like, if you're meditating and you're just saying to yourself, like, think about nothing, that's not going to work. A couple minutes in, you're going to be thinking like, oh no, I'm not thinking about nothing, and then it goes in this circle, you're all flustered, right? So what do people who meditate do? They think about their breath. They find something to focus on, and when they're able to focus on one thing, then it clears out all the other things that are going around, then they can relax their mind. So I used to do that with my students. I used to have them like focus on one point on the wall, or like maybe a pin, or like a leaf on a plant in the room or something like that, and just put all of their focus on that. Or talk while they were playing so that they were distracted from what they were playing, and then what they were playing just came out smooth. But here's the thing, is it doesn't last very long. It's like this Herculean effort where you really have to pin all your focus on something, and it gets exhausting, right? So instead, we have to find something to focus on that's going to keep us in the moment, that's going to be really related to what we're doing, and that at the same time, we're not going to be thinking too much about all the details, right? So what is that thing? What is that thing when we're soloing, when we're playing, that we can focus on that's going to make it so all our ideas come out smoothly? It's the melody, right? The melody of the song that you're playing. Everything that is happening in that performance, like at a solo, at a jam session, whether somebody else is soloing, whether you're soloing, whether you're comping, it flows from the melody of the song. Like the chord changes, the phrasing, all of that stuff, okay? So if we can keep our focus on the melody, then it's going to align with the DNA of the song, and everything's just going to come out smoothly. And you know what that means? You're not going to get lost in the form. So you get that concept, but let's show you how to actually do it. We're going to use a song called Now's the Time by Charlie Parker as our example. And I'll just play you a quick short snippet, the first phrase of the melody, so we can get an idea of what we're working with. Okay, and really like the first step of this is just to be able to understand that melody with our ears, right? So the way that I like to do this is by singing it, right? So ba-da ba-da bo-da, ba-da ba-da bo-da, bo-da 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 bo-da. That's the first phrase, okay? And then now we're gonna start to transfer it into our playing, right? And the simplest way is to just play it on the snare drum. All right, that's cool enough. Now I'll play it across the drums, make it a little bit more interesting. Right? You can see it's like that could be my solo. If you played that as your solo, do you think you would get lost in the form? Probably not, because you have that melody tied in your head. That's the DNA of the song. That is the form of the song, right? But I get it. You're probably thinking like, Jameson, I don't want to just play the melody over and over again. There's more to life than that. I agree. So this is where we're going to start to depart a little bit. Instead of just playing the melody, which is like in eighth notes, right? Da da ba da bo da bo da bo da bo da. I'm going to play the melody in triplets. Like imagine it was in triplets. So da ba da da ba do ba ba da ba da da ba do da. So da ba da da ba do ba ba da ba ba do ba ba do ba ba do ba. Ah, starting to be more interesting, right? Still has the same phrasing as the melody, right? It starts and stops in the same places, the same gaps, but I'm playing something different than the melody, right? Move it across the drums. Cool, right? This is starting to sound like a drum solo. Now what if I did it with 16th notes, right? So da ba da ba da ba da ba da, da da ba da ba da ba da ba da, so da ba da ba da ba da ba da, right? All right, across the drums. Ah, it's starting to sound like a solo, right? Because I'm playing different subdivisions, I'm able to mix things up, but I'm sticking to the phrasing of the song. And that's why most drummers get lost in the form when they're at a jam session or something like that, is because they're thinking about all the little details. They're thinking about all those little 16th notes or triplets. Instead, we want to start to think like big picture. Right? Like what's the phrasing of the song? Where do things start and stop? And what are the pauses and the gaps? And that allows us to like relax a little bit. And I promise you when you do that, all the little details, they'll just start to take care of themselves. As long as you've done a little bit of work like understanding what 16th notes are, right? This isn't just for complete beginners. And this doesn't just work with subdivisions. Like up to this point, all we've done is just different subdivisions. But we can also apply it with a rudiment, right? Like people ask me all the time, like, oh, I try to play a paradiddle for my solo, but it doesn't do anything. It doesn't sound right, and I get lost, right? So how can we take this same phrasing, ba-da ba-da bo-da, ba-da bo-da bo-da, ba-da ba-da bo-da 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 bo-da, apply paradiddles to it, right? I'm gonna do it with 16th notes, right? Paradiddle, paradiddle, bam. All right, and then use the same phrasing. Okay, now I'm using those rudiments in an interesting way. What if I did it with a piece of vocabulary? Like here's a phrase I learned from Alan Dawson. It's right, left, right, kick, kick. Like triplets. Right? What if I use that in the same phrasing as now's the time? Whoa, this is starting to be interesting. And then now let's take it a step further. I'm going to combine paradiddles and my little Alan Dawson phrase. That's starting to be something interesting. If I heard that at a jam session, somebody plays that, I'm like, that's a jazz drum solo. Because we're using paradiddles, we're using our rudiments, we're using our vocabulary, we're using different subdivisions, but it all fits in with the melody of the song, the phrasing of the song. So I don't have to think about all those different things. I can just plug in all these ideas because I'm thinking of the big picture of the song, which is actually the most important part. And now I'm in this place where I can just relax and enjoy my solo because I'm thinking big picture, which means what? We're gonna be more confident, we're gonna sound better. Have fun.